Shalom, shalom, mishpacha. This is Brian with the Wise Men Will Hear, and I never know when I'm going to do this. I just kind of was reading my TURAH portions today, and so much has come to my heart. Sometimes I feel like I want to just share every word that is in the scriptures. So powerful, so amazing. And to get this wisdom and understanding, it just fills you with so much joy that the promise that Yahusha has made unto us just really does set us free and make us free. It's so amazing. But there is much that we have to do. We have to guard his Shabbat, and we have to guard his commands and live by the Shema, to listen and to hear and to obey. And, Dabarim 6:4, understanding who our Messiah is, right? Who our Yahuwah is. And, there are so many different teachings and things going on in this time. And there are some that seem so right in their teaching, but I feel that I have already done some teachings, or not really teachings, but some of the word on, the relationship of and the deity of Yahuwah and Yahusha, and how Yahuwah is truly one. And I may make another video of that in the future, because, man, it is so amazing that people still don't understand the scriptures on that. And it is so important. Like it says in the scripture, that only by the Ruach HaKodesh will someone know the truth of, Yahusha being Yahuwah. And it's so amazing, because I have today I was just reading my Torah portion, which is standing, which is Nitzvarim. And I went through Deuteronomy 29:9 through 30, verse 20. That's the Torah portion. And Yeshayahu 61 through 63, verse 9, the half Torah. And also read Romans chapter 1 through 18, chapter 9:30 through 10:13. Also 1 Timothy 6, 1 through 21. And then Hebrews, Abrit 12, 14 through 15. And ending with 1 John Yehukanan 5, 1 through 21. And wow, what a Baruch it is to read this. And I will read some of this today. I won't read it all, because I know that it would just be such a long video, but I will share some of it today. And really the title of this video, if I remember what I titled it, the Watchmen and the Basurah, is in these times I feel that so many people are warning, and others are teaching on the Torah and other things. But I know that there are many parts of the body which do different parts. But we are called, I know, to do and proclaim his Basurah, which is the good news. And for understanding, I usually say the tube news, but for simplicity of getting this message out, People need to know that we must speak plainly sometimes of certain words. We are not going to profane by speaking the God name or the Jesus name or the Lord. We are going to use the true ancient names, the Kodash names that were from the beginning. But what I wanted to say today was in this opening is that, there really isn't many out here teaching the commands of the Most High, teaching the importance of the Shema and how we must hear, listen, and obey. We must know who our Yahweh is, our Yahuwah is. We must know who our Messiah, our Mashiach is. And in order to do that, you have to really be a student of the scriptures. And I have come so far from the things that I thought were correct in the past, but Yahuwah has led me through so much and given me wisdom and correction in so many ways. I am so grateful for his word and just all that he gives us. It is such a Baruch to be resting on this Sabbath. These last few weeks have been so challenging for me since not working for many months and then all of a sudden doing really hard labor. And so I am so grateful for this day. And spending it with Yahusha is the most important thing, Sorry about the glare of my glasses. There's a window behind me. But I just wanted to say, everyone, that as we are being watchmen, the Nazarene, we are also, besides warning, we are to also share the Basurah, because there are so many that are getting so caught up, I believe, in talking about, and it was me for a little while too, talking about the things that the enemy is doing, right? The jab in the arm and all of these things that they're coming out with even more and more. But how much time do others spend on this? And I feel that, yes, giving out a little bit of truth here or there, it is so important for us to guard everything that he has given us to guard, but also to talk about Yahusha and his coming, to talk and basically just give the warning of getting right with our Mashiach, right? Because this is what it's all about. The whole story of the scriptures and the word that he has given us is him, is our Messiah coming to the Eretz in the flesh to live the life of a sinless one and to show us the walk, right? To show us how to obey and do the commandments, not just to be hearers of the word, but to be followers, to be doers of the word, excuse me. And so with this, I do feel that as we are doing our job to warn others, we must also sow in the words and the teachings that are so important, the ones that were given to our Talmudim before, right? The disciples, the ones that were were before us, right? They were well-rounded, and they were ready for all and every situation. And I feel that we also need to be ready, in the Ruach and in so many of the physical ways. But if we stand in the truth, we will not live in fear. We will not live in worry or doubt. And the enemy really, in these times, is trying to distract and pull everyone away from their game, away from their business, which is to do the will of Yahuwah. And which is, also to live by the words that have been given to us, to obey him, and to prepare our hearts and our minds for the times ahead. So with that being said, I'm going to, I'm going to start doing some reading on Deuteronomy 29, chapter 29 and 30. It'll go from, we'll go from verse 9 of 29 to chapter 30, verse 20. And I just feel like I want to do this because it is so amazing, this chapter, and it is so important for these times. Now, I'm not going to be able to go through all of the Torah portion, but I am going to go through probably about half of it, really. And I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to read it to you from my book. I'm not going to get real fancy with the whole stream, and I'm just going to do it plainly with the book. So let me just check and make sure that everything is going all right here. Let me check my feed and everything, the stream. It appears to be good. We'll see afterwards if it turned out all right. And nobody is in the chats or anything right now in the comments, but yeah, so let's get started. And if there's even just one person or two people that see this in the future, that's fine, because I am doing this just so that in the future, if there is someone that is meant to hear this, they will hear. So let's start on chapter 29. It says, "These are the words of the covenant which Yahuwah commanded Moshe to make." Actually, I'm just gonna, I guess I'm gonna read the whole chapter. I was gonna start on verse 9. Let's see, actually. Okay, picking up in verse 9. "Therefore, you shall guard the words of this covenant and do them, so that you prosper in all that you do. All of you are standing today before Yahuwah, your Eluah, your leaders, your tribes, your elders and your officers, all the men of Yasharah, your little ones, your wives, and your sojourner, who is in the midst of your camp, from the one who cuts your wood to the one who draws your water, so that you should enter into the covenant with Yahuwah, your Eluah, and into his oath, which Yahuwah, your Eluah, makes with you today, in order to establish you today as a people for himself, and he himself be your Eluah. as he has spoken to you, and as he has sworn to your fathers, to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Jacob, and with the one I am making this covenant, and not with you alone, am I making this covenant and this oath, but with him who stands here with us today before Yahuwah, our Lua, as well as with him who is not here with us today. That would probably include us, right? But with him who stands here with us today before Yahuwah, our Elohim, our Alua, as well as with him who is not here with us today. I just read that. For you know how we dwelt in the land of Mitzrayim, and how we passed through the nations which you passed through. And you saw their abominations and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were with them, lest there should be among you a man or woman or clan or tribe whose heart turn away today from Yahuwah, our Lua, to go and serve the mighty ones of these nations, lest there should be lest there should be among you a root bearing bitterness or wormwood. And it shall be, when he hears the words of this curse, that he should Baruch himself in his heart, saying, I have shalom, though I walk in the stubbornness of my heart, in order to add drunkenness to thirst. Yahuwah would not forgive him, but rather the displeasure of Yahuwah has jealously shall burn against that man, and every curse that is written in the book shall settle on him. And Yahuwah shall blot out his name from under the Shamayim. And Yahuwah shall separate him for evil out of all the tribes of Yasharah, according to all the curses that the covenant that are written in this book of the Torah, and the generation to come of your children who rise up after you, and the foreigner who comes from a far land shall say, when they see the plagues of that land and the sickness which Yahuwah has sent into it, all its land is sulfur, salt, and burning. It is not sown, nor does it bear, nor does any grass grow there, like the overthrow of Sidom and Amorah, Admah and Seboim, which Yahuwah overthrew in his displeasure and his wrath. And all the nations shall say, why has Yahuwah done so to this land? What does the heat of this great displeasure mean? And it shall be, because they have forsaken the covenant of Yahuwah, Alua, of their fathers, their Abbas, their Ab, which he made with them when he brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim. And they went and served other mighty ones, and bowed themselves to them, mighty ones that they did not know, and that he had not given them. Therefore, the displeasure of Yahuwah burned against this land, to bring on it every curse that is written in this book. And Yahuwah uprooted them from their land in displeasure, and in wrath, and in great rage, and cast them into another land, as it is today. The concealed matters among Yahuwah are Alua, but what is revealed belongs to us and to our children forever, to do all the words of this TURAH. So that is the end of chapter 29. We're going to continue on to chapter 30. But before I do, I just want to say that this really speaks of a prophecy of these times, of how so many are bowing themselves to other mighty ones. And the world has truly been deceived by these false names and by these false Elohim. Everything is being revealed. Chapter 30, verse 1. And it shall be, when all these words come upon you, the blessing, the barakah, and the curse, which I have set before you, and you shall bring them back to your heart among all the nations, where Yahuwah your Alua drives you, and shall turn back to Yahuwah your Alua, and obey his voice according to all that I command you today, with all your heart and with all your being, you and your children. Then Yahuwah your Alua shall turn back your captivity, and shall have compassion on you, and he shall turn back and gather you from all the peoples where Yahuwah your Alua has scattered you. If any of you are driven out to the farthest parts under the Shamayim, from there Yahuwah your Alua does gather you, and from there he does take you. And Yahuwah your Alua shall bring you to the land which your fathers possessed, and you shall possess it, and he shall do good to you, and increase you more than your fathers. And Yahuwah your Alua shall circumcise your heart and the heart of your seed, to love Yahuwah your Alua with all your heart and with all your being, so that you might live. Man, is it not amazing how many times you hear this in the scripture, that we must love him with all of our heart, with all of our mind, and with all of our being? Over and over and over again. This is so important. Like the greatest command is to shama, to listen, to hear, and obey, and love Yahuwah with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And we know that the second is like unto it, to love your neighbor as yourself. And all the TURAH hangs on these. Continuing at verse 9. And Yahuwah your Alua shall make you have excess in all the work of your hand, in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your livestock, and in the fruit of your ground for good. For Yahuwah turns back to rejoice over you for good, as he rejoiced over your fathers. If you obey the voice of Yahuwah, your Eluah, to guard his commands and his laws, which are written in this book of the Torah. If you turn back to Yahuwah, your Eluah, with all your heart and with all your being, for this command which I am commanding you today, it is not too hard for you, nor is it too far off. It is not in the heavens to say, who shall ascend into the heavens for us and bring it to us and cause us to hear it so that we do it. Nor is it beyond the sea to say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it to us and cause us to hear it so that we do it. For the word is very near in your mouth and in your heart to do it. See, I have set before you today life and good, death and evil, in that I am commanding you today to love Yahuwah, your Eluah, to walk in his ways and to guard his commands and his laws and his right rulings. And you shall live and increase. And Yahuwah, your Eluah, shall bless you in the land which you go to possess. Let's finish this out. Instead of going to verse 13, I'm going to finish it out. But if your heart turns away and you do not obey, and shall draw away, and shall bow down to other mighty ones and serve them, I have declared to you today, you shall certainly perish. You shall not prolong your days in the land which you are passing over, the Yarden, to enter and to possess. I have called the Shamayim and the earth, the Arets, as witness today against you. I have set before you life and death, the barakah and the curse. Therefore, you shall choose life, so that you live, both you and your seed, to love Yahuwah, your Eluah, to obey his voice, and to cling to him, for he is your life and the length of your days, to dwell in the land which Yahuwah swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Yaakov, to give them. Wow. There it is. How powerful is that? Choose this day, life or death. It is that simple. Whether you choose to obey or whether you choose to worship after other mighty ones, you will be judged accordingly. There is no in between. There is only life or death. All right, so I want to read now Yeshayahu 61, verse 1 through chapter 63, verse 9. And what I really want to do after this is get to Romans, which is really going to help with the Basurah, the good news, and what I wanted to share a little bit on that today. But for the next section, we're going to turn again to Isaiah, which is Yeshayahu 61, chapter 61, okay? So let's go there now. Which I've already read all this earlier, but this is like a double, reading, because I've already went through this today. I read a bunch of scriptures today, and now I'm just doing it all over again. But that's okay, because we have to get this in us over and over and over and over again. All right, so here's the next section. And this too is so amazing. All right, so here we go. Chapter 61. The Ruach, the Spirit of the Master Yahuwah, is upon me, because... Oh, hold on one moment. Yeah, we're doing right. Because Yahuwah has anointed me to bring good news, the Basurah, to the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim release to the captives, and the opening of the prisons to those who are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahuwah and the day of vengeance of our Alua, to comfort all who mourn, to appoint unto those who mourn in Zion, to give them embellishment for ashes, the oil of joy for nourishing, the garment of praise for the ruach of heaviness, and they shall be called trees of righteousness, and planted of Yahuwah, a planting of Yahuwah, to be adorned. And they shall rebuild the old ruins, raise up the former wastes, and they shall restore the ruined cities and waste of many generations. And strangers shall stand and feed your flocks, and the sons of the foreigner be your plowmen and your wine dressers. But you shall be called priests of Yahuwah, servants of Alua shall be said of you. You shall consume the strength of the nations and boast in their esteem. Instead of your shame and reproach, they rejoice a second time in their portion. Therefore, they take possession a second time in their land. Everlasting joy is theirs. For I, Yahuwah, love right ruling. I hate robbery for ascending offering. I shall give their reward in truth and make an everlasting covenant with them. An everlasting covenant. Praise Yah. Verse 9. And their seed shall be known among the nations, and their offspring in the midst of the people. All who see them, all acknowledge them. They are the seed of Yahuwah. They are the seed that Yahuwah has blessed, has Baruch. I greatly rejoice in Yahuwah. My being exalts in my Alua. For he has put garments of deliverance on me. He has covered me with the robe of righteousness, as a bridegroom decks himself with ornaments, and as the bride adorns herself with jewels, with her jewels. For as the earth brings forth its bud, as the garden causes the seed to shoot up, so the Master Yahuwah causes righteousness and praise to shoot up before all the nations. Chapter 62. For Zion's sake, I am not silent, and for Yerushalayim's sake, I do not rest, until her righteousness goes forth as brightness, and her deliverance as a lamp that burns. And the nations shall see your righteousness. They shall see the righteousness. And all the sovereigns your esteem. And you shall be called by a new name, which the mouth of Yahuwah designates. He will give us a name. And you shall be a crown of comeliness in the land of Yahuwah, and a royal headdress in the hand of your Alua. No longer are you called forsaken, and no longer is your land called deserted, but you shall be called Heps Sibah, in your land married. For Yahuwah shall delight in you, and your land be married. For as a young man marries a maiden, so shall your sons marry you. And as the bridegroom rejoices over the bride, so shall your Alua rejoice over you. Verse 6 is important here. I have set watchmen on your walls, O Yerushalayim, all the day and all the night, continually, who are not silent. You who remember Yahuwah, give yourselves no rest, and give him no rest till he makes Yerushalayim a praise in the Eretz, the earth. Yahuwah has sworn by his right hand. His right hand is Yahusha, right? And by the arm of his strength, no more do I give your gain to be food for your enemies, nor do sons of the foreigner drink your new wine, for which you have labored. But those gathering it shall eat it and praise Yahuwah. And those collecting it shall drink in my set apart courts. Pass through the gates. Prepare the way for the people. Build up the highway. Remove the stones. Lift up a banner for the peoples. Oh, I love those words. Right? Let's read that verse again. Verse 10. Pass through the gates. We all want to pass through the gates of the Shamayim. Build up the highway. Which way are we trying to go on? The highway. The way which is straight and narrow. Remove the stones. Lift up a banner for the peoples. See, Yahuwah has proclaimed to the end of the earth. Say to the daughter of Zion, see, your deliverance has come. See, his reward is with him, and his work before him, and they shall be called the set apart people, the Kodash people, the redeemed of Yahuwah, and you shall be called, sought out, a city not forsaken. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. And Yahusha for giving us a way to the Father, the Abba. So we are going to finish out Yeshayahu with chapter 63 through verse 9. So here we go. Just a little bit more in this chapter. Who is coming from Edom with dyed garments from Basurah? Who is robbed in splendor? Who is robed in splendor, striding forward in the greatness of his strength. It is I who speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Why is there red on your raiment and your garments like one who treads in the winepress? I have trodden the winepress alone, and from the peoples no one was with me, and I trod them down in my displeasure, and I trampled them in my wrath. Their blood is sprinkled upon my garments, and I have defiled all my raiment. For a day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed has come. And I looked, but there was none helping, and I was astonished that there was none upholding. So my own arm saved for me. Wow. There were none that were helping, and his own arm saved for me. And my wrath upheld me. And I trod down peoples in my displeasure, and made them drunk in my wrath, and brought down their strength to earth. Let me recount the loving commitments of Yahuwah, and the praise of Yahuwah according to all that Yahuwah has done for us, and the great goodness toward the house of Yahusha, which he has done for them according to his compassion, and according to his many loving commitments. And he said, they are my people, children who do not act falsely. And he became their savior. This is talking about our Yahusha, our Yahuwah. He saves with his right hand. Verse 9. In all their distress, he was distressed, and the messenger of his presence saved them. In his love and in his compassion, he redeemed them. And he lifted them up and carried them all the days of old. Wow. I love that last verse, verse 9. Oh, man. We are so Baruch to be in these times and to be counted his. There is so much for us to do and prepare. But most importantly, we must be in obedience. And this is why it's so important to get ourselves right so that we can teach others how to be in obedience and how to be be in the Word enough to where we can rightly divide and show the Word, and to be able to share His Torah and to share His Basurah, to share His good news, His tube news. So I'm going to finish out with 2 chapters, well, actually about 3, actually, in Romans. And I think this really, I mean, I could almost read all of the Torah portion today. We'll see, maybe I will, but for now, let's turn to Romans chapter 1. So let me go there myself. Okay. Okay, almost there. Yeah, this is so amazing. I love and you know, you can get so much understanding in Romans, but there are so many that are confused in this book, and that's why it's so important to know the you know, to know the Torah and the Tanakh, so that you would understand all of this. So we're going to read from chapter 1, verse 1 to 18. And then we'll also read chapter 9, 30 through chapter 10, 13. All right, so here we go. Shaul, a servant of Yahusha Messiah, a called emissary, separated to the good news of Yahuwah, which he promised before through his prophets in the set-apart scriptures concerning his son, who came of the seed of David, according to the flesh, who was designated son of Yahuwah, with power, according to the Kodash, the set-apart spirit, the set-apart Ruach, by the resurrection from the dead, Yahusha Mashiach, the master of us, through whom we have received favor and office of the emissary for belief, obedience among all the nations on behalf of his name, among whom you also are the called ones of Yahusha Messiah. To all who are in Rome, beloved of Yahuwah, called, set apart ones, favor to you and shalom from Yahuwah, our Abba, and the Master Yahusha Messiah. First, I truly thank my Yahuwah through Yahusha Messiah for you all, that your belief is spoken of in all the world. For Yahuwah is my witness, whom I serve with my Ruach in good news of his Son, who unceasingly I make mention of you. See, this is so awesome. I mean, these words, if you understand what is being said here, is just so amazing. I'm not going to interpret this, but I'm going to continue. Always ask in my prayers, if at all possible, I shall be blessed, Baruch, by the desire of Yahuwah to come to you. For I long to see you, so as to impart some spiritual gift to you, for you to be established, and that is to be encouraged together among you, each by the other's belief, both yours and mine. And I do not wish you to be unaware, brothers, that I often proposed to come to you, but was hindered until now, in order to have some fruit among you, as also among the other nations. I am a debtor both to the Greeks and to the foreigner, both to wise and the foolish. That is why I am so eager to bring the good news also to you who are in Rome. For I am not ashamed of the good news of Messiah, for it is the power of Yahusha for deliverance to everyone who believes, to the Yahudi first, and also to the Greek. For in it the righteousness of Yahusha is revealed from belief to belief, as it has been written, but the righteous shall live by belief. Reference Habakkuk 2:4. For the wrath of Yahusha is revealed from heaven against all the wickedness and unrighteousness of men, who suppress the truth in unrighteousness. Because that which is known of Yahusha is manifest among them, for Yahusha has manifested it to them. For since the creation of the world, his invisible qualities have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, both his everlasting power and mightiness, for them to be without excuse. Because although they knew Yahusha, they did not esteem him as Yahusha, nor gave thanks, but became vain in their reasonings, and their undiscerning heart was darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools, and changed the esteem of the incorruptible Elohim, Yahusha, into the likeness of an image of corruptible man, and the birds of the four-footed beasts, and of reptiles. Therefore Yahusha gave them up to uncleanliness in the lust of their hearts, to disrespect their bodies among themselves. Wow, this is so descriptive of what is happening in these times. You know, first of all, if you look at verse 23, and change the esteem of the incorruptible Yahusha into the likeness of an image of corruptible man. This is talking about the Jesus. This is how, you know, they have made a painting of Cesar Borgia and made such a despicable disgrace and counterfeited our very Mashiach because of deceiving the whole nations with the names and the images and getting everyone to worship the God of this world. It is such a deception that once you understand it, is just mind-blowing. And the world is largely worshiping after the beast and the false one, the Mashiach. They are actually worshiping the anti-Mashiach, and they believe in their heart and their mind that they are worshiping the true one of the Shamayim, the heavens. But they have fallen for the counterfeit, the lawless one. They have fallen for the lawless JC, is what they have done. So I will finish out actually, I will stop there. You can continue if you want to read from in chapter 1 from verse 24 to verse 32. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read in this Torah portion chapter 9, verse 30, starting there. And I will probably stop here and then give you the rest of it to read on your own, because this video will be incredibly long. So let's go to chapter 9 of Romans. And we're going to read, it's not very much. We're going to read actually to chapter 10 of verse 13. But we're going to start in 30. So where are we at? Let's see. Okay, here we are. What shall we say then? That nations not following after righteousness have obtained righteousness, even the righteousness of belief. But Yahusha, following after the Torah of righteousness, has not arrived at the Torah of righteousness. Why? Because it was not of belief, but by the works of the Torah. For they stumbled at the stone of stumbling, as it has been written. This is talking about, the Romans and the Pharisees and all those that, did not accept the Mashiach. As it has been written, see, I lay in Zion a stone of stumbling and a rock that makes for falling. And anyone who is believing on him shall not be put to shame. Truly, brothers, my heart's desire and prayer to Yahuwah for Yahusha is for deliverance. For I bear them witness that they have a doer for Yahuwah, but not according to knowledge. For not knowing the righteousness of Yahuwah, and seeking to establish their own righteousness, they did not subject themselves to the righteousness of Yahuwah. For Messiah is the goal of the Torah unto righteousness to everyone who believes. For Moshe writes about the righteousness which is of the Torah. The man who does this shall live by them. This is Warikwa, Leviticus 18:5. But the righteousness of belief speaks in this way. Do not say in your heart, who shall ascend into the Shamayim, the heavens. This is Dabarim 30, verse 12. That is, to bring Messiah down. Who shall descend into the abyss? That is, to bring Messiah up from the dead. But what does it say? The word is near you, and in your mouth, and in your heart. This is Dabarim 30:14 reference. That is the word of belief which we are proclaiming, that if you confess with your mouth that that Master Yahusha, and believe in your heart that Elohim, Alua, has raised him from the dead, you shall be saved. For with the heart one believes unto righteousness, and one confesses with the mouth, and so is saved. Because the scripture says, whosoever puts his trust in him shall not be put to shame. The reference to that is Yeshayahu 28:16. Because there is no distinction between Yahudi and Greek, for the same master of all is rich to all those calling upon him. For everyone who calls on the Shem, the name of Yahuwah, shall be saved. Yoel 2:32. Now then, shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without one proclaiming? And how shall they proclaim if they are not sent? As it has been written, how pleasant are the feet of those who bring the good news, the Basurah of peace, of shalom, who bring the good news of the good. Yeshayahu 52:7. However, not all obey the good news, for Yeshayahu says, Yahuwah who has believed our report. Yeshayahu 53:1. So then belief becomes by hearing, and hearing by the word of Alua. But I ask, did they not hear? Did they not shema? Yes, indeed. Their voice went out to all the earth, and their words to the ends of the world. This is Talahim 19:4. In verse 19, I know I'm going a little bit further. Verse 19, but I ask, did Yasharal not know? First, Moshe says, I shall provoke you to jealousy by those who are not a nation. I shall enrage you by an unwise nation. This is Dabarim 32:21. And Yeshayahu boldly says, I was found by those not seeking me. I was made manifest to those asking for me. And to Yasharal, he says, all day long, I have stretched out my hand to a disobedient and back-talking people. Wow. Oh, I'm just reading and reading. I'm not even really paying attention to it. If anyone's here, I'm sorry about that. But I just wanted to say thank you for anyone that is here, listening. I just am so pleased today with the word that Yahuwah has brought. And we truly are in a time that we must be standing for everything that we have learned and believe. And with, Yom TURAH and the Day of Atonement coming soon, and Sukkot, which I follow just to let you know, I follow the Zadok priestly calendar. And on the 18th of this month, which is basically, I think, in like 4 days, is the high Sabbath for the Yom TURAH. So with that being said, everyone, I'm looking at my calendar over there. I hope that this has been a barakah to you. And to just talk quickly on a little bit about what happened today was I was reading my Torah portion, and it really inspired me to talk about the subject of being a watchman, and that we must not forget that we have to do a full work of our ministry, not just warning, but also reading and preparing the word for others, sharing the Basurah, the good news. Because how many people in these times actually talk about Yahusha? It's very much that everyone is talking about so many different subjects about, the feast, or when a day starts, or, the thing that's going in, other people's arms, or what's happening in certain states in the United States, or what's happening all over the world. But we are called to do the first things, which is the first works, and coming to be about his business. There's so many distractions now, and even I have learned in this walk that the enemy really wants us to, just be soaked into looking at all the things that they're doing. The evil one and the evil minions, they just love to put all that they're doing out there, and it's not hidden from us. But this will also drag you down in your ruach. That is why it is so important to put Yah first and put the word in you, putting on the full armor of our Alua, our Creator, and the Messiah that came in the flesh. And remembering, like I said earlier, that the Shema, remembering to guard, his word, to hear and to listen and to obey. There are so many of the different, religions and people out there, mainly the ones that are confused, that they don't even understand the very first commandment. They don't understand how to put him first. They don't understand the Shema. They don't understand who our Yahuwah is. If you're going to have a relationship with the Most High, if you're going to have a relationship with the Abba that Yahusha has made it possible for us to be in relationship with, how are you going to do that if you don't study the word, if you don't understand the word? So it is so important to get this in us first. And there is so many distractions. I've been so tired lately, and I feel it's like an attack, really, because it's not an easy thing, to sometimes when you're so overworked that you get home and you sit down on your couch. Like for me, I sit down on my little chair sometimes just to say to myself, oh, I'm just going to rest for a few minutes. And then before I even take a shower, because I'm dirty, after work, and I just like pass out for 15 minutes and I almost forget where I am. But it's like every moment that I'm home, I just I want to get into his word. I want to pray and draw closer, and, just plan my next fasting and all these things. And we are in a battle, my friends. We are in the times that the nations are being deceived. And I do feel that, like the enemy, and I wanted to say something real quick, that the enemy is a super narcissist, right? He will gaslight you. He will do all these incredibly evil things because he really doesn't care. um, that you um, that you are. He doesn't really care about you at all, right? Of course he doesn't, because he's the evil one. So this is why I've learned so much recently about um, how so many people, unfortunately, are starting to be this way. It's like the world is growing cold. You know, the love of many will wax cold, right? And a lot of the saddest thing I feel is that there's many people I feel that don't even know or are not even aware of these characteristics inside them. You know, they hide themselves away and they're closed up, and it really is sad. And I'm not trying to be uh, cruel about it, but it's just that over the years I have seen that my life has been surrounded by these type of people, and a lot of them mean well, but I really feel that the narcissistic tendencies and the things that we see in this world, really, when it boils down to what it is a possession of the enemy. It is the evil ruach koth that is in people. And that is why deliverance, my friends, deliverance is so important. Even when we think that we have all the pieces and all our lives just perfectly aligned with the truth, we have to self-evaluate. And this is the time of self-evaluation, especially coming into the fall feasts. We are approaching someday soon the Day of Atonement. And as we are warning others, I feel that we must be also spreading and proclaiming Yahusha to everyone that we can. Because he is what this is all about. Yahusha is, what all of this word is about. The Torah, the word made flesh. So with that being said, everyone, I'm kind of rambling on here. So I just wanted to say Shabbat Shalom, and I hope that you had a great day. I just decided to come on here and do a little bit of the Torah portion, and there's more to it, but I'm not going to get to all of it today. So with that being said, I hope that you have a peaceful day of rest, and until next time, shalom.